Hello, darlings, and welcome to my podcast, Treading the Boards to Business, where we talk all things from sparkle and spotlight to the boardroom and beyond. My name is Shelley Otway-Wood, former actress, singer and dancer, and now CEO of Stepping Out Stars of Tomorrow Theatre School, The Costume Cupboard, and Dance and Performing Arts Business Coach. I am going to share with you some fantastic showbiz stories with my friends and colleagues about their careers in performing arts and beyond. So let's open these curtains and step into the spotlight. Hello!
Hello, darling.
I am so excited about today, I can't tell you.
Thank you for having me.
You look marvellous.
You are. I'm in Greece. It suits me, but I don't feel marvellous. I feel hung together by hopes and dreams.
Well, welcome Emma Cowell, author of the Island love song House in the Olive Tree. I've had to write it down because there's so many. Under the Lemon Tree, One Last Letter from Greece, and Beneath the Orange Blossom. Have I missed any?
I don't know. One Last Letter from Greece, The House in the Olive Grove, Island love song, Under the Lemon Tree, Beneath the Orange Blossom. Yeah, 5.
So, and I've read 4.
And the 5th one is out on May the 7th. And thank you for reading them.
I love them. Honestly, I absolutely love them. It's amazing how you describe things in your book, Emma, because I'm going to read a little bit of one, well, just a line. It's only a line, but I remember reading this on a sun lounger in Crete last year, overlooking the sea. And Greece is just so beautiful. And both of us have really fallen in love with that country, haven't we? Which is lovely. And you describe the sea as a pepper mill of glitter.
Yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful description. It's just, it really stayed with me, that one line.
Thank you.
You know, the way you describe things in your books are just gorgeous. Where did this come from? Because you were a dancer and a singer, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the kind of very early days of drama school when we met each other.
Yes. I mean, it feels like 1,000 years ago, but it's 30 years ago now?
Yeah. Wow.
It feels like another life, and it's really interesting as we all get older and getting far too close for 50 for my liking. There are really clear chapters in your life, you know, when you're young, and I was just 18 when I went to drama college, and the year after I started is when you and I met. You were in the year below me, and you're so naive in so many ways, and yet you think you know so much. And looking back all these years later, there's a real beauty in the naivety and a real sadness in the self-consciousness you have in your own skin and your body when you're a teenager, particularly a teenage woman. And now at this point in time, there's a lot of stop giving such a hoot about a lot of things,
isn't there? I think particularly around kind of weight in our industry.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I'm actually speaking to another lady called Kim Rogers who she's actually got her own wellness company now, and she deals with a lot of students who are going through really tough times at drama schools, or, you know, general students with well-being. And that's something that definitely wasn't part of, and I've spoken to a couple of other people on podcasts in the last few weeks, and that is a real change, I would say, in the industry to when we were at drama school. Would you not say?
Yeah, it's fantastic as well. You know, I struggled with my relationship with food when I was a lot younger, and that doesn't leave you. It doesn't go away. No. And especially being in the performing arts, you are judged on whether you look right. That's the first thing. You're being judged the second you step through an audition room door, before you open your mouth to sing or speak or do whatever you're being asked to do. And to try and get out of your own head is really, really difficult, especially when you're young and you naturally compare yourself to other people. I think the one thing from this vantage point in time, I am so grateful we did not grow up with social media, because, you know, I have nieces in particular, and godchildren, goddaughters, and I just think the pressure that they are bombarded with imagery of perfection when none of it is real. You know, what we had growing up was smash hits and Just 17. And the airbrushing wasn't that heavy, I don't think, in those days. So I think it's really challenging. And that warms my heart to hear that professionals are taking steps to safeguard young men and women as well, because, you know, eating disorders and body dysmorphia happens across all genders. So it's great news that that's happening.
Yeah, no, it really is. So talk to us about, because I remember you being in 9 at drama school, and what's really interesting, I think we were maybe in the same tap class.
Yes, we were. Yes.
So I kind of knew you, but I didn't know you the way I feel like I know you now, which is interesting because actually, I feel like we've known each other more through our businesses, where actually most people I know through the performing arts more, but I feel like we've kind of got kind of closer during our business side of things rather than when we were at drama school, you know, and obviously we were in different years, but I remember you being in 9 and just thinking how incredible you were, Emma. I mean, you were very talented, very talented.
Thank you. I loved that show. It was, oh my goodness, I played Luisa Contini, and just being part of a cast that was mainly female was such an empowering production to be part of. And you don't value it that much at the time, but looking back on it, you just think, what a stellar bunch of kick-ass women, you know, being in that show.
And you were so young. I mean, what were you, 21 then?
No, not even that. Maybe 20. Almost 21, yeah.
And I just really, really remember that, coming to see that production. I mean, your year did that, and because of the Spider Woman as well was another thing that I really remember. But you know, you being in that and being so grounded, which actually, funnily enough, I was just talking to my sister on a podcast, and we were saying like the differences between, she went to drama school but went to Mountain View and did acting, and obviously I did musical theatre, but that kind of groundingness that you had as a performer, my sister kind of had that real kind of earthy kind of quality,
which I did not have off stage at all. I was so, like I said before, there's this real unsurety in my skin of who I was becoming. I suppose I felt maybe a bit lost, but on stage, pretending, finding something in a character you can link into that maybe is aspirational, I think maybe gave it that quality. And it's funny now writing, there's an equal vulnerability to really putting your work and your soul on the page as there is to stepping on a stage. It's very vulnerable making, and the business is filled with some of the most performing arts and acting, with some of the most insecure people in the world who then put themselves through absolute torture. You think it must be a complete masochist, but there's elements of that as well. It's a very strange feeling when you spent 6 months from a blank Word document to your end of your first draft, and then you tinker back and forth with your editor, and the copy edits and the rounds of edits become really laborious and uncreative, but they're so necessary. And then it goes out into the world and it's published, and it feels like it no longer belongs to you. It's for everyone else to fall in love with, hate, critique, pull apart, all of those things.
Yeah.
It's very vulnerable place to be.
How did you, because I don't really know much about your kind of early career in performing. Did you go into performing for long?
Yeah, I was working almost straight out the gate from after graduating, and I was doing that for 5 years, and then I got a job with the BBC and relocated.
Yeah, I saw that you were presenting, weren't you?
The southwest of England. So yeah, I was radio presenting every day and absolutely loved it. Again, it's a different kind of performing and storytelling in a way, when I was reading the news or covering for the lunchtime phone in, and then have my own show in the afternoon, which was more editorial, lifestyle, books, music. It was just, I loved connecting with people because I'm so blooming nosy. I just got to ask people questions for a living.
Oh, that's fab. And so how did you transition out of the kind of performing arts side into this amazing author. I mean, what a transformation. Had you always written when you were at college? Had you written scripts and things, or?
I'd always written since I was a child,
Had
always
you?
wrote poetry, short stories, just always loved writing and reading and doing A-level English literature, and just
Okay.
always adored it. Had aspirations at one point to be a journalist, which then I got to do when I was working for the BBC in a different way, broadcast journalism. But the authoring thing, I'd always wanted to write a novel, and I'd started tinkering with an idea maybe about 10, 15 years ago, but just didn't have the time because you're working full time and didn't really know what I was doing, so kind of gave up. And then when lockdown happened, I need a project, Shelley. I have such chronic ADHD that if I don't have something to focus on, I will waste my time watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills till the cows come home. So I just needed to do something. So in lockdown, I decorated the bathroom, I baked sourdough, did all the things that everybody was doing. Then I thought,
And wrote a novel.
and then I started to revisit this idea I'd had for a novel a couple of years before that was inspired by my late mum, who died very suddenly, far too young, and started writing in the March of lockdown, carried on, managed to get to Greece that September, still writing it, having the best time, and didn't have an agent or a publishing deal, just doing it for jokes, for myself, really. But I just got this momentum going as I started to tell this story and loved it. And then an agent was looking at my work and I was frantically trying to finish the blessed thing. And then it all
How
began.
do you get a book agent, though? Is it similar to kind of getting a theatre agent? Because you obviously would have had a theatre agent when you were performing.
Yeah, exactly. So the literary agent thing is very similar in a lot of ways to a theatrical agent. You want to look at who their client lists are, if they're open to submission, what genre they're looking for.
Right.
And so you have to do your research, because agents will be sick to the back teeth of receiving manuscripts for something that they have no intention of taking on. And so you have to do all those things in the right way. And I got incredibly lucky that an agent, who is my agent, Kate Burke, loved my writing, was reading my rough, raw manuscript as I was writing it. And then at the end of October in 2020, we had a long phone call. She wanted to represent me, loved my writing, needed to do some editorial work on it before we went to publishers. And then we talked about Below Deck and reality TV and terrible 90s pop. And we just, we were like spirit animals. The universe connected us.
Just got on, yeah.
So she's my lunch buddy and I wouldn't be without her. And then the following spring, we got a 2-book deal with HarperCollins. And I'm now I'm writing my 6th book of that. So I'm on my 3rd 2-book deal with HarperCollins, and it just feels like a dream. It really does.
So talk to us about Greece, because obviously all your books are around Greece. And is that something that is that a country that you've always loved, or is it one that you've visited as a child, or, how did you, it's obviously been such a huge inspiration for your books.
Yeah.
Because, the way you describe the food there, I mean, I literally would read and be like, oh, I need something to eat.
I know. There literally should be a snack warning on the front of my novels, because so many readers say, I'm starving hungry now. I had to stop reading to go to the supermarket to get food. I'm so hungry. And actually, in Under the Lemon Tree, that was out last year, we put a recipe in the back, because so many emails came through saying, I need a recipe for this and for that. So, I mean, short of doing a cookery book, which I do not have time to do, I'm just happy to do the research and put in the legwork of stuffing my face in tavernas, which is my research project. But Greece is somewhere I went to years ago, maybe when I was 16, 17, a bit later than that, actually, it's a lie. How you get older and you think, oh, that was 10 years ago, and actually it was 25. So I think maybe I was about 25, 26. I went to Crete with some girlfriends for the first time, and I'd never been to Greece before. I was just in love with it. And then latterly, maybe about 15 years ago, my husband and I were invited by some friends to come out to the mainland of Greece. and never been to the Greek mainland, had no idea what it was like, but seen their photographs and heard about it. And honestly, Shelley, it was complete and utter love at first sight. There's such a simplicity to life in the far western Peloponnese, which is now where I live. As of
Can you just say
week.
that again?
I know. I'm like, who is that person saying that sentence? Where I now live, I'm in the Western Peloponnese, and yes, a week in so far. Touch wood, so good. I was based in Cornwall before I moved to Greece, and again, that beautiful coastline, the traditional way of life, conservative to an extent, the national pride in a really positive way, and not in a divisive way that we're so used to in the UK.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. I romanticize Greece in a lot of ways. I write about it in a very romantic way. But for me, it is such a romantic country. The ancient myths and legends, the battle for independence, and all of that rich history just feeds into the culture, the food, the kindness that I've experienced. I've been given so much food this week, Shelley.
I saw on your Facebook.
Oh my goodness. A guy came to fix our Wi-Fi. Day 2, very important because I'm working as well, and my husband is. He turned up with a can of 5 litres of extra virgin olive oil from his olive harvest from October, just to say welcome to Greece. How incredible is that? So all of that stuff feeds my soul and my spirit, and all ends up somewhere in a book.
In the book.
Some way. Oh yeah.
I remember Rob and I have been to Greece like 4 times now, and we've actually been in Greece at the same times, haven't we? Which is crazy. But actually, the first time we went back to Crete a second time because it was so beautiful, and it's the same hotel. But I cried when I left.
Oh, I get it.
Because I had the most beautiful time, and it was so stunning as a place that when I said to Rob last night, my husband, Emma's moved to Greece, he was like, oh, and I went, I know, like how amazing to have moved over there. And why move there though? I mean, that's a big decision.
It's huge. It's sort of bold, brave, and possibly foolish, unclear as of yet. But like you, the idea when it came to the end of a holiday or a trip to Greece, it was so crushing to have to leave. And at that point, so I would come out here, particularly since I started writing, every summer for almost 6 weeks, almost 2 months. And when you get to those last 2 weeks and 10 days, and this sort of horrible, hideous clock starts ticking in your head, oh, you've got 1 weekend left. Oh, you're going home in 2 days. Better start packing. It was so miserable. And I can't believe the first time we came to the mainland, we came here for a week, then 10 days, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then a month, then 6 weeks. It's just never long enough. And the days go by so quickly. We just got to a point that, we weren't able to have children. So I now have come to terms with that's bereavement in a way. However, if we did have children, we wouldn't have been able to leave the UK. No. And when we lost our little fur baby, our little cat last year, I said to Tony, my husband, there is no reason for us to stay. Tony would have left 10 years ago because he works remotely. He's a journalist and a writer, so he can be anywhere in the world. He wanted to leave. I was like, no, and the cat was elderly, and I was a typical mad cat woman writer. But when we lost Papushka, I said, that's it. We're in Cornwall, Greece. It's the same effort to get to London from Cornwall as it is from Greece. Why don't we go and live our dream and have a new adventure? Because life is too short. So we have sold up, and I have a digital nomad visa for 12 months that I plan on extending for 2 years. And then eventually, if the Greeks will have us, maybe residency, we'll see. But I'm published in Greek as well. And I'm getting all these lovely messages from not only my publishers in Athens, but people who run bookstores all over the mainland. You're in Greece. Will you come and do a book talk and an event?
How lovely.
It's, I'm very lucky to be a bestseller in Greece as well. So I feel really welcomed and like I'm in the right place at the right time in my life to just breathe. I haven't felt like that for a very long time.
Yeah, that's really lovely. And I think, when you go through, I mean, it took me 8 years to have a child.
Yeah,
And that is an incredibly difficult time as a woman to kind
yeah.
of either, I mean, I had come to terms with the fact that that probably wasn't going to happen, and maybe that wasn't my path in life.
Hmm.
But actually, like you say, things happen for a reason. Sometimes things that we just are out of our control.
Yeah,
And, that's life, isn't it? And it's
yeah,
sometimes really horrid and really awful. But like you say, you wouldn't, for whatever reason, that didn't happen for you, which of course is sad.
yeah.
But then you wouldn't be in Greece. And
No,
I
exactly.
tell you what, you certainly wouldn't be writing all those books because you wouldn't be running
No,
around.
I wouldn't have the time to
No.
be. And also, I still work full time. I'm not a full time writer. I am a consultant for Great Ormond Street at the moment, consulting with them on their fundraising. So I'm able to work remotely. And I've worked in children's palliative care fundraising. And so
Wow.
maybe that's not being a mum, but being able to help fundraise millions and millions of pounds for incredible children's charities. Maybe that's the way that I was meant to go. I just didn't know it. And as you said, very little in our lives we can control. There are things we can try and influence, but outcomes, how often do things go the way you planned? How
Yeah.
often do awful things happen to great people and great things happen to awful people? That is just the way it is. And I was reading something the other day, and it's really strange philosophy. I need to think about it a bit more. Someone said, if you act like everything in your life is your own fault, then you take full accountability for it. But I'm like, hang on, I had 3 miscarriages and 4 failed rounds of IVF, and my mum dropped dead the week before Christmas, age 59. I can't rationalize the way
No.
things happen the way they do, nor can I take part in any blame or accountability for things like that happened that were utterly out of
Out of your
everybody's
control.
control.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. And I suppose our journey with those terrible things that happen in our lives, the struggle that you went through to have your gorgeous little one, it's just the way it was meant to work out, because you then appreciate the ups a lot more because you've had some rough old downs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think when you have perhaps been through performing like we both have, you are you set yourself up for failure almost on a weekly
Okay.
basis, and
Yes.
I was actually talking to somebody about this morning, and somebody had said to me, when did you give up? When did you think that is it?
Yeah.
And I remember what I was wearing, I remember the smell,
Wow.
remember the shoes, of course I remember the shoes,
Obviously you do.
because we both love shoes.
Oh, we
But
do.
I remember that day I'd been up for Belle for Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
final call. I'd also been in for Les Mis, and that was the 7th time I'd done the workshop, the 7th
Gosh.
time.
Yeah.
And I was up for Lena Lamont for Singing in the Rain. So 3 really lovely
Wow.
big characters, all final calls. And I was on the bus. Oh my God, I would be seen dead in a bus now, darling.
I know.
But I was on the bus in these lovely shoes, and I went in for my final call for Belle. And I remember the casting director saying, "She's great, but she's a bit old."
Oh,
And I
goodness.
was like 25.
That's outrageous.
And I mean, maybe not so much now, but I looked quite young for my age.
Yes, you did. You still do, for crying out
And
loud.
and I just thought, wow, but I remember walking out of that room, getting on that bus with those white shoes and the
Mhm.
smell of London, thinking, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember going home to my then boyfriend and saying, I'm done.
Wow.
And him saying, "What do you mean you're done?" And I went, "No, no, no, I am done. I'm phoning
Hmm.
my agent tomorrow and I'm saying I don't want to do it anymore."
Oh my
And literally
goodness.
that's what I did. It was mad. Was
But
there
it's,
like a was there like
sorry,
a pinnacle point like that you kind of no?
no, weirdly, life sort of just buffered me into different opportunities that,
Okay.
the BBC thing, never would have considered working for the BBC as a radio presenter and doing bits of TV presenting. But then thinking back, when I was little, I'd always record on cassette with my cousins, pretending to do radio shows and just record it on tape. And so that occurred. And then moving into working for charity, it was somebody I'd interviewed that ran 2 children's hospices in the Southwest and wanted to build a third. I and my husband were supporting them off away from the BBC because it was an amazing cause. And he said to me, "We need somebody to run the capital appeal to build a children's hospice in Cornwall. What do you think? We need to raise 5.5 million. What are your thoughts?" And I was like, "What can I do? How can I help?" He went, "No, no, no. I'm asking you, would you leave the BBC and come and run the appeal?" And I was like,
Wow.
give me 24 hours. So I went home to Tony and I just thought, this feels like it's come at the right time. Things at the BBC were becoming really challenging for various reasons. It was during the time that compliance, we had to fill in a form for everything we said on air. It was exhausting and becoming really uncreative.
Yeah.
So I made a bold decision and swerved out of the blue to work for this incredible children's charity and loved it. Helped the team, built the team there, mustered the community with this amazing team that I recruited, and the hospice got built. It's there, it's open, and I loved working for that charity. And then
How long were you there for?
I was there for 9 years, working for that organisation, working across all 3 of the children's hospices. And then I went to work for an organisation that is like the umbrella body for all 52 children's hospices in the UK, fundraising for them.
As you do.
As you do. And they created a role for me, which was really exciting. So I went there, and then there was a restructure and an opportunity came up for me to go freelance, and Great Ormond Street wanted to work with me. And there is no better charity for children, in my opinion, than Great Ormond Street. The work they do is phenomenal. The clinical trials for childhood leukemia is literally curing incurable leukemia. My mind is blown by the work those scientists in research are doing. And so we're fundraising 300 million to build a children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street. So that's what I'm focusing on at the moment, and writing.
And writing another novel.
And moving to Greece, all at the same time.
I just love the fact that you're very much like me. You're very kind of all or nothing.
Oh, it's all in.
There was because I got married 2 years ago, and I actually had enrolled in a business course at that time, which was a huge course.
Yeah.
And so I'd enrolled in the business course. The kids were performing at Blackpool Tower Ballroom. We were doing a West End show. We were performing at our local Mayfair, and we were also doing a big annual show, which actually Emma Barton and Tom Davis, who are our patrons, came to watch.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm a bit like you. It's not, I can't just do one thing. There's got to be madness and a bit of drama.
Oh, always. It's such a strange mindset, and I don't know if it's a combination of neurodiversity, hormones, and just madness, perhaps. But I think
sheer craziness.
All of the above. Whenever I finish a book and I can take a break for a few weeks while my editor goes through, a day. So I have 3 weeks off from that book. It's finished. My editor's reading it, and I'm waiting for it to come back. I don't know what to do with myself because I suddenly have spare time. I'm unfamiliar with what spare time is most of the time. So when I get it, I don't know what to do. Like I like it for a day, and then I'm like, well, now I'm bored. What now? What now? What can I fill those hours with?
Yeah, one of my friends calls me "What next?" because that is very much, like, what's next then? What are we doing next? What are we doing next? And that's very much
Same.
me. I have to talk to you about, because I am intrigued to hear about this.
Okay.
Cowell.
Oh, yes, that.
So we have to discuss how you met Tony,
Mhm.
the Cowells, and everything showbiz around that, because I mean, that's incredible. I want to hear all about Simon and Louis and all of that.
Oh my goodness. So, well, I met Tony, I actually interviewed him at the BBC and we got on really well. And it was one of those things that was the right person at the wrong time. I had come out of a marriage maybe a few months before that, and I was just enjoying working out who I was again. And going through a divorce is not the best fun,
No,
and
horrid.
you need to give yourself
Yeah.
space and breathing time to rediscover yourself. I felt, again, it was another chunk of time in my life where I didn't really know who I was anymore. I'd
It's
lost
the most it's
sight.
the most broken I think I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, it's such a feeling of failure.
It is.
Even if there are every version of circumstances that leads to a divorce, I came away feeling like I'd failed. I was the first person in my family amongst my cousins to be divorced, and there's this weird shame. Well, obviously,
It's like a bereavement, isn't it?
yeah, it is, because it's just you dashed all of your hopes and dreams that you had. No one goes into a marriage thinking we're going to get divorced. You have piles of hopes and dreams, and it's just the way it is. But, again, cannot regret a moment, because I wouldn't have been working for the BBC and I wouldn't have met Tony and all of those things. So it was about 12 months after I met Tony that we went for dinner, and that was kind of that. We moved in together 6 weeks later, and that was 22 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And he's lovely. He's the most. I remember phoning you about the bees about one of your stories.
In the house in the olive grove, the bees. You're obsessed with the bees. Me too.
In that amazing book that you'd written, and I was like, oh, I've got to phone her, and he was sitting in the background, and he came on and was chatting away. He's such a nice guy.
He is. He's a great human being. I'm very lucky.
And so his brother is Simon.
His brother is Simon, yes.
Wow. And so what's he like? I want to know all about this. Do you see him much, or are they close?
Yeah, very close. And I do think it's a very strange concept, the idea of fame. It is quite peculiar, because the idea of when you're in a relationship with somebody, meeting their family is a big deal. You don't know, you might have seen photographs of them, you don't know who they are, what they're like. I already kind of did, or had a perception of what my then boyfriend's brother was like, and it was a strange thing. I'd met his younger brother and his wife and their kids and everything, and then we went down for Sunday lunch at Tony's late mum's house, and we were staying there the weekend, and I was making chocolate brownies because Julie, she loved a sweet treat. And she was making Sunday lunch, and Simon arrives in this car. We hear this roar of an engine outside, and he came in, met him. He critiqued my brownies. He said they needed buttercream. I said, surely that then becomes a cake and not a brownie. And he's exactly how he is on screen as he is off screen.
But that's lovely. It's nice that there's not almost like a facade,
No, he is exactly who you think. But even more than that, as I said, working for children's charities, he and I work closely together on his philanthropy work. And I get to see the stuff away from cameras, the time he spends with families who have seriously ill children, the money he's paid for children to have operations or treatments abroad. His generosity is phenomenal, and it is such a privilege to see. When I showed him around Great Ormond Street, he was supposed to be there for 45 minutes, sort of 2.5 hours later.
Wow.
He's still there in the oncology ward where the children are in isolation, taking selfies with them through the glass. And
How
just,
lovely is that?
no, it's a real privilege. He's a great human being, incredibly generous. And now is the most amazing dad to our nephew, Eric. So, yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 12.
Wow. Okay. Tricky age.
Interesting age.
Because my little girl's 13 and it's
those hormones.
It's a challenge.
Eric is amazing.
Do you get to see him much?
Yeah, we saw them just before we moved out to Greece, but Lauren and I speak a lot anyway, and as I do with Simon, about work stuff and charity stuff. So yeah, we're in touch. So it's very strange. It's just his brother. And I know that everyone knows who he is, everyone on the planet, but it is also just my brother-in-law.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And also because you've been part of the family for 20 odd years, that's probably not so much of a thing now,
No, you don't think
you love
about
Tony because you love Tony. It's not
exactly
because of,
you don't think about it at all until you have to go somewhere. So when we went up to stay with him in the Cotswolds, we were going into the town to this toy shop that he wanted to go to. And you suddenly realise, oh no, I'd forgotten this all takes about 3 hours because of the selfies and the photos. He speaks to every single person who stops him and wants a picture. He loves it, but he's really kind as well. So
yeah, that's nice.
Going anywhere, you have to allow treble the time, but it's how it is. But then being low key and normal, just like sitting around in our pajamas, drinking a cup of tea and watching a movie is the best. So
yeah, that's fab. And just as we kind of wrap it up, Emma, I don't know if you can, but have you got a little bit of one of your books that you can read?
I have to.
I would love to hear that.
I will put my specs on, otherwise I'll be squinting and need more photos.
I know, I had to put I don't wear them for anything else other than computers, but yes, I am of an age now where I do need my old spectacles on.
I've just got varifocals, it's crushing. I feel like I'm 9,000 years old. Anyway.
So what's this from, Em?
So this is from Under the Lemon Tree, which was out last May and did brilliantly well, really well. And I haven't actually got a copy of Beneath the Orange Blossom that's out on May the 7th this year. Otherwise, I would have read you some of that, but I haven't got it. It's actually stuck in customs at Athens at the moment. My publishers have sent it to me, and I've just got a price list from DHL to pay for my own book. That's me. Anyway, yeah, publishing isn't glamorous. Okay, so this is from Under the Lemon Tree, and it's just a little bit when Katerina, who's the main character, who has inherited a house from an uncle she didn't know about, and she's just got to the Greek island of Agistre. Kat's gaze swept along the promenade as far as she could see to get her bearings from the images she'd found online. The blue domed church was on this side of the island, but out of sight for now. The beach didn't stretch the entire length of the seafront, but was shingle-like below this part of the promenade, turning to golden sand in the middle, and then beyond that, she'd find out at some point. She sat back in her chair and looked at her surroundings. Working life had always moved at such a frantic pace that when she stopped, it was disconcerting. She didn't know how to slow down. As her coffee and food arrived, Kat's taste buds sprang to attention. A few marinated anchovies, slices of crusty sourdough topped with her favourite ochre split pea dip, or fava, and keftedes, miniature lamb meatballs coated with a smoky tomato sauce. Kat was ravenous and tucked into the assortments of tastes and flavours with enthusiasm. Katerina, came a croaky voice, startling her as she took a huge bite. Sauce dribbled down her chin, and she scrambled for a paper napkin to save her clothing. Kat turned and saw a lady beside her around her mother's age, maybe late 60s. Yes, sorry, excuse my mess, she said, mopping at her face and chewing speedily. Are you Mrs. Raleigh? She asked in Greek, knowing she would have to brush up on her language rudiments. Though she spoke it occasionally with her parents, living back at home with them had been a reminder of just how rusty her language skills were. Eat, Mrs. Raleigh said, nodding that she was indeed the housekeeper. Come afterwards. My English bad, so we speak in Greek. She reverted to her native language. Go past the yellow building, then in the terrible modern glass house, after many trees, the one after is Petros's house, your uncle's former home. She sniffed and crossed herself piously. I have made the house very, very nice for you. There is washing machine. She fixed her beady eyes on the blob of tomato sauce glistening in Kat's lap.
Oh, that's so lovely. I love it. Thank you so much, Em.
Thank you.
Coated with tomato sauce. Oh, the way that you describe things, I just want to go and eat my lunch.
I have to say, as I said earlier, I do the legwork. My research is sitting in tavernas, ordering lunch, staring at people and nicking other people's bits of their lives or imagining where they've been, who they're with, or if they are actually married.
We actually talked about this on a podcast this morning with my sister, and we were saying about when we were at drama school, I was with Mark Goldthorpe at the time, and he used to go and sit in Poppins restaurant.
I remember Poppins.
And people watch and come back and write notes about people. And my sister was saying, she went to Mountview, and she was saying at drama school, she would do the same. And it's crazy, isn't it? That, we're still doing that, but those characters are alive in your stories. And how wonderful is that?
It's just people watching is my favourite thing to do. And I remember in the Island Love Song, there's an old lady, a character of Xena. And I was on the island of Hydra, where the Island Love Song is set. And we had a very long lunch with a lot of friends, and we were walking up round the winding cobbled streets, and there was this clack on stones. And round the corner, there was this old lady dressed in black in widow's weeds with a fabulous hat. And she had this stick that was clacking, her walking stick. And she then walked towards the sunlight. She was completely in silhouette. There was something about her energy and the way she walked. So I took loads of pictures of her, and she has no idea stalked her a little bit. And she stayed with me for some reason, and she ended up as a character in my book.
And the way you describe her is how I saw her in that book as well, which is lovely.
So be careful what you say to an author as well, if you're friends with them, because you'll end up in a book somewhere, somehow. And it's always interesting to see if people recognise themselves, maybe if I take
in your books. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Emma, it has been such a pleasure having you on today. I have loved every second of it. I want to hear all about Greece, and please keep in touch. And thank you so much for giving up your time.
Oh, and thank you for all your support. And I love your videos of you crying when you've finished one of my books and it's made you cry, and you have to send me a video, which gives me so much joy and really spurs me on. And good luck. You're brilliant. I love you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love you too. Take care, my darling. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Treading the Boards to Business. We hope we added some sparkle to your day. Please like, subscribe and share our channel. And if you know of any lovers who may want to share their story, do get in touch. We hope the rest of your day is filled with glamour and glitter.